see. We've got Audacity up. Check. I've switched the speakers over. Check. I'm not sure if I've got sound in the from the files yet. I heard from people that the sound didn't come through, but I'm not gonna worry about that today too much because I've got plenty to talk about where the sound is not as important, but I will consult with my expert as soon as I can and get him to fix that. What is the noise in my headset? Must be just the computer. Cat on my chair. Check. You gonna be quiet? Meow, she says. She just likes to listen to me talk. She keeps coming in when I'm in the studio recording books. Okay. This is the file that we were working with yesterday. Oops, I'm a little early. I suppose I could just sit here and blather on about something. I need to make sure I can check the chat window. I've got to figure out how to get that over. I know Andy showed me how to do that, but I can't remember how. Well, I'll just keep an eye out in case anybody shows up and decides to participate. I really do want to answer questions as they come up, so I'll just keep checking over there. I gotta make a note. I can make a physical note with an actual pen and say chat window and screen volume. Alright, I have made a couple changes, and maybe it will play sounds from the screen now that can be heard by people other than me. Let's see. Error opening sound device. Well, probably not then. Okay, let's just go through these since I'm sitting here.
It left a mark on anything it touched. She would have to rub a lot of lemon juice on her hands before they would return to their natural color.
Did anybody hear that? I mean, you just tell me afterwards. Or so if you're watching the video afterwards. I'm always going to post these over on my YouTube feed, which is 19 Nocturne Boulevard YouTube, as well as here. Well, I don't even get to hear that one. That doesn't help. The next one down. No. Okay. And the headset, error opening sound device. Okay, so sound mapper.
It left a mark on anything it touched. She would have to rub a lot of lemon
sound mapper, and
it left a mark on
speakers, which I have rerouted into the headset. If either of those shows, if either of those came through, hopefully somebody notices and will send me a message to that effect. But today we're still not really going to be doing much with sound. We're working primarily right now with visuals, so it shouldn't be too much of a hindrance even if it's not working right now. Well, it is time. Hello, welcome. That was a little babbling pre-show warm up there. Isn't it exciting? That's bonus material. Gotta remember that. I will get this all figured out. This is literally my fourth time on Twitch. So, I mean, we did a sample and then yesterday was the first real episode. So, all of this is me getting used to stuff and getting used to checking the chat window as I someday eventually get people actually watching me live, which would be entertaining. But today the main thing that I want to go on about is I want to do some customization, because customization, Audacity has a lot of good customization available, and the biggest thing that I work with is here in the preferences. Now, just to keep all my own stuff straight, I have a laptop to my side where I have all of my current preferences, displayed so that I can just take them right over here and from there and make it as convenient as possible. So, and also this way I can see all the differences between the version that's on my laptop and the version that's currently on the screen. For instance, this latency thing is not in this screen on the previous version. As as I said, this is a very vital growing program. It's constantly being updated. It's constantly having new little specific things made for it to make it better. One of the reasons that it's pretty awesome is that, and it's free at the same time. So I don't know what that is. I'm not going to worry about it. Playback. Let's see, playback over here. That all looks pretty much the same. Recording. Recording. Okay, now, this one I always get rid of. I play other tracks while recording, overdub. This is going to get you in trouble if you're doing something like audiobooks and recording down the page like I did here. If you are doing something where you've got a music track and you're trying to sing with it, that's when you'd use this. This, though, is when you've got, um, you don't want to have these tracks, one playing while you're talking the next one, because it'll just turn into a jumble of mush. So I always turn that off. And oh, hey, the latency thing is on this screen in my old version. They just moved it. Okay. Sound activated recording I don't really use. Um, Name newly recorded tracks with custom name. Oh, I'm gonna have to take a look at that. That's nice. I mean, because as I said yesterday, I believe, when I'm recording in studio and doing audiobooks, I just name everything the date. Because, it's not till I break them out, because I'm usually recording several projects at once, and it's not till I break them out that I put them into individually named things. One of the reasons I do that is because for audiobooks, I have sound editors that I send things off to, which means that I usually record for at least 3 or 4 different projects at a time, so that I'll send off an hour of sound to one editor, an hour to another one, an hour to another one, and then edit some of it myself, rather than record 3 to 4 hours of one project, send it all off to one editor, leave the other ones hanging, and then it takes him half a week to get through it. This way it's the most efficient way. Of course, it's also highly confusing if you can't keep all the characters in 3 or 4 books straight in your head. So, always record on a new track. I think I'll turn that on, though I'm not likely to do a lot of recording on this computer. It may happen. So, we've got that. We've got, let's see, that's the recording tab. We'll go to MIDI devices. The previous version doesn't even have MIDI devices. Ooh, I do want to play with MIDIs. MIDIs are like, I know what they are. I'm trying to think of the way to describe them. They're like music files, but they've been saved in such a tiny, tiny format that they're basically like sheet music for your computer to read. So they can't be played unless you have a MIDI device to play them. I mean, actually, what they remind me of the most is player piano rolls, but that's probably too old for anyone to have a reference for. Have you ever seen player pianos? Are really cool. My grandma had one. You have these rolls. They're like a scroll, a big, huge scroll of, hardish paper on, this metal thing, and it goes into the top of the piano. You pull it down, hook it onto the hook, and then you start pumping the bellows at the bottom, and it's as fast as you pump, it comes down. So you can speed it up or slow it up. You're not supposed to, of course. You're supposed to know what speed you're going for the song, but you can mess with people if they're trying to sing along. And it literally, what it has is these little holes, and then in between the top roll and the bottom roll, there's this, I think it's a blower bar. It's like an air bar. And every time one of these holes is over a certain part on that bar, the key corresponding to it will hit. I mean, because it's like the air's coming out as you're pumping as well. And so it's totally not electrical. It is a completely functional you know, previous to electricity being that useful device. It's kind of like a music box, except instead of winding it, you pump it with your feet. And that can be pretty a chore. I mean, I remember we were kids and we'd take turns. One of us would be on one pedal and one would be on the other pedal, and nothing would play at tempo. But so in some ways, a MIDI reminds me of that, and not just because I have a ton of old um, player piano rolls on MIDI files, but but because that piece of paper represented music, and in some ways, it was also the oldest form of karaoke because if it was a song, I mean, a piece of music with words to it, then the words would appear, and they actually went up, which was weird because the roll was coming down. So as each word came down to the blower bar, you were supposed to sing it at that point. So it's like karaoke, but where the words are coming down toward you. It's very strange, but you get used to it. Okay, that's a total digression. Anyway, I'm going to look at MIDI devices later. Next thing we have is quality. Default sample rate, 4400, 32-bit slot, medium quantity. Yep, that's all the same. Interface. Interface, English local light, English local, what's light? Theme. Oh, that must be the color scheme here. What other color schemes do we have? Ooh, dark. What does dark look like? Let's see. Ooh, that's kind of cool, actually. We didn't have that in the previous version. I'm going to have to take a look at that. But, might as well stick to keeping them all similar for now because I don't want it to be too confusing, though that might be easier for other people to see. I kind of like it. What's high contrast look like? I just gotta know. Ooh, no, that looks too much like a really cheesy old video game. And let's see. Light, dark, high contrast. Classic is probably very much like light. Yes. Yep. Totally. And I think I'll go back to dark. I like it. I mean, this is all, of course, just your preference, whatever suits you as you want. And then there's a custom one, which probably, well, let's see what the custom one does. I suppose you've got to find how to customize it, which I don't have right now. Let's go to high, dark. Okay. Show how to get help at launch. Don't want. Beep on completion of longer activities. That's not a bad idea because there are some processes I use that take a little bit of time, though I don't tend to use it because a lot of times those beeps are really annoying in your headphones if you're working on it. Blend system and Audacity theme. I don't know what that is. Okay, that's interface tracks. That's completely different. Let's see. Update display while playing. Oh, I see. They just broke it out into a couple of different things. Auto scroll if head unpinned. That sounds painful. My head's unpinned. Just checking chat. Auto fit track height, pinned recording playback. I have no idea what to do with that. I'm gonna leave it off. Waveform stem plot. Yeah. Audio track name is audio track. Okay, I guess I've got whatever. Tracks behaviors. I mean, auto select, enable cut lines. No. Enable dragging. Editing a clip can move other clips. Okay, this one is actually huge for audio drama because when you're working, I'm going to close this for a minute and show you what my problem with it is, which is, okay, we're back to dark. If I took, for instance, a chunk of this and moved it over here. Now, I haven't done my customizations yet. so that I've got these are actually two different pieces of sound, and that actually it's not going to work in dark because I need to have those show up better. Hold on. Interface lights. See, because you can see that these are two separate pieces and there's a blank space here. That's why I had to come back to this interface, is because not having this light clearly a blank space without anything in it here actually is a problem. When the with the one that says editing a clip can move other clips, when you do that, now say I've got this set up so that this is somebody talking and then somebody else talks here, and then this is the first person talking again, and I've done it this way with blank spaces between the tracks, the pieces of track. If I deleted some of this, then this one would move in to match it, not to match what it was on the line below it. It'll be more clear when I actually start putting stuff together, but that's why I always turn that one off. Okay, that was under tracks behaviors. Type to create a label. Let me look at that. Not what I thought it was. Okay, let's just turn that one off too, because I don't know what it is. Let's see, scrolling left of 0. No, I don't want that. Solo button. Huh. Wonder what that means. We're gonna have to look into that, because that's different than on my current one. I have standard, not simple. Interesting. Okay, well, on to import, export. Copy uncompressed files into the project. Okay, what this is asking you right here, when you're importing an audio file, are you going to copy it into the project, or are you just going to read it from its original location? Now, for audio drama particularly, you always want to copy it in, because it may be faster to read it from an original location, it says it is, but honestly, that leaves you with the option of, you close the file, forget you didn't copy it in, open the file again later, and it's not there because you've moved the original file or something. When you copy everything in, then it's always going to be included in the file, and you don't have to think about it. So I would always copy into the project. Normalize all tracks in project, that sounds dumb. I don't like the normalize function. And normalizing, there's several different functions that do similar things, and I'm not sure what the difference between them are, which is like leveler and normalizer and things like that. I have tried them all at some point, and maybe they're better now, and I'm not going to dispute that could be possible. But at the time I tried them, they did not do what I wanted. I didn't like them. They basically are trying to even up all the volume in a track, but the problem I have with it is they often bring up low stuff enough to make it sound choppy rather than bringing down high stuff. So I have a different way I do it, which is probably crazy, but it works for me and it makes a sound that I like. So, let's see. Always mix tracks down to stereo or mono. Exported files save time as. I don't use the Allegro file, so I don't care. Extended import. Don't know what that is. Okay, projects. I know, it's like, how many things do you not use? Well, I don't use a lot of things. I'm sure they're terribly handy for different things. A lot of stuff is aimed, as far as I can tell, at people mixing music, which I don't do. I mean, I do mix music into my shows, but I don't mix music itself. So a lot of things I think of as being more pertinent to that. I also don't, I've basically fumbled my way around this interface, which is one of the reasons that which is one of the reasons that I've got this bizarre attitude towards certain things. See, these are all the same. This is probably all the same, more or less. I've only got 133 gigs free for that. Show warnings for saving projects. No, saving empty project. If you've deleted everything from a project and you go to close the file, it'll tell you you're saving an empty project. It's kind of obvious, but there's times when you want it to warn you about stuff. Low disk space at launch, 133 gigs, not too worried about. Mixing down to mono, mixing down to stereo, mixing down on export, or importing uncompressed audio files. I don't need to be warned about that. Okay, that's warning. Effects. Enable effects. I honestly have no idea what any of this is. I think it has to do with some of the things you can add as plugins, which we were going to be doing today too. Keyboard. Okay, keyboard we're going to come back to because that's where I'm going to be doing the most damage. I mean, the most things. I don't usually do much as far as the mouse bindings go. These are things you can change as far as your different mouse functions. But I usually stick with what I already know. And then modules. Enable them only if you've read the Audacity manual and know what you're doing. So, yeah, not me. Again, I'm sure there's plenty of functionality. And in fact, I would love to have people on to teach me new things. That would maybe in the future, I'll get that going. But for right now, we're going to come back over to the keyboard preferences. Now, I have a lot of keyboard preferences that I have set up myself. That's one of the reasons that you'll hear me click a couple times and then go, damn, I forgot, I haven't got my keyboard preferences on here yet. Keyboard preferences are super handy. One thing that has affected my choice of keyboard preferences is that I mouse left-handed. And I'm not actually left-handed, but years ago when I was working in an office and started to feel carpal tunnel issues, or at least, fatigue, I actually switched my mouse to my left hand and taught myself to use it just so that to take the strain off my right hand. Worked really well. I've always been somewhat ambidextrous though, so I mean that helped a lot. But I found that the easiest way to do it is to get a new game, something simple like Plants vs. Zombies, and play it left-handed. Something fresh so that you're not thinking of my left hand sucks, you're thinking of I suck at this game, I haven't learned it yet. And just play it for hours until your hand starts getting the movement in. And that worked for me, so yay. But it really makes a difference sometimes if you just give yourself a chance. I'm not saying everybody is going to want to mouse left-handed, but that's one of the reasons that my keyboard shortcuts often tend to be over on the right side, is because I can mouse and then hit keys that way rather than having to switch hands. Because when I was mousing right-handed, I would have put them all on the left-hand side for convenience. I do have some on the left-hand side too, and I've got various reasons for why I chose them, rather than to tell you, just put all your keys like this. No, these are the way I chose it, and it'll show you how to do it for yourself. So a lot of these I will just leave in control, open, new, close. Oh, no, I actually want to get rid of that one because I tend not to use it and I sometimes hit it by mistake. So that's another reason I customize, is there are things that I hit by mistake that are very unpleasant. So let's see. Save other, export as MP3. Oh, these are not in the same order. That would be so helpful. Okay, I'm going to scroll up a bit. There are a lot of functions that you can assign to cursor keys, and to, not cursor keys, to keyboard keys. And that's really cool, actually, because a lot of times, you don't get to do a lot of customization, and this makes it as convenient as you want it to be. Let's see. Of course, it's tricky because I'm having a little bit of difficulty finding where everything. Okay, export selected audio. I use. Oh, poo poo. Sorry, I forgot to go down into the thing. Never said I was perfect. Export selected audio. Then you click down here, and you hold the keys that you want, that you're used to, or that however you want to do it. You can designate whatever keys that collection you want. So I want to set that. Then you set it to put it here. You say okay when you want to close out. Otherwise, you're opening it up over and over again. Export labels, export multiple. I never use those. Let's see, import. I should use that, but I don't. I need to look into chains. I really do, because like I said, I've tried them before and didn't have any success, but I'm sure it's been massively updated. And also, I've been kind of on hiatus from doing a lot of editing, apart from straight line audiobook editing for several years. So a lot of stuff has changed, and a lot of stuff is probably very, very, streamlined at this point. Okay, edit menu, undo, Control Z, redo, Control Y, love it. Control X, cut, Control K, delete. I never use that one. I just use the delete key. Copy, paste, I change. You may say, why did you change paste? Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Why do you change paste? Well, part of it is because sometimes I hit it by mistake because it's right next to copy, but also because I want it to be on the right-hand side. And I actually, no, that's not it. It's this. That's what I have over here, right? Yes. I just use, I wanted paste for me to be a one-click thing. I didn't want to have to do a double click. So I created this, and that's how I want my paste to be. Plus, it just gets it away, because I find it very frustrating if you copy something, or worse, if you cut it and you want to go paste it somewhere. But when you go to paste it, you hit the copy button again, and instead of hit Control C instead of Control V, then you've wiped out what you had, and you have to backtrack until where you cut it. It's just awkward, and so I just, for whatever reason, moved this one over here. Duplicate, Control D, that's a big one. Okay, so I don't use any of those. I'll just leave them until they bug me. You'd be surprised how many things I just get out of here because they annoy me eventually. Oh, where's silence? Silence should be in here. Okay, silence audio. I use L instead of Control L, which is what it used to be. Oh, that's labeled audio. Well, we'll still set it as silence. Where is silence? There's silence. A silence audio. I want that to be L too. No, not backspace. L. Oh, but I've already assigned it. Okay. Yeah, whatever. It can be silence, all the silences. It just warns you if you're using it for the same thing so you don't get confused. It actually took it away from that one, which is fine because I don't know why it's labeled audio. I mean, why it matters if it's labeled. Preference, Control P is preferences, which opens up this menu. Control A, select all. Oh, let's see, where's my next format? Clip boundaries, don't use it. Labeled audio, don't use it. Select. Spectral, toggle spectral selection. No. Select. Where is the select menu? Okay, we've got that. Pardon my sniffles, it's winter. Really, that's all it is. Zero crossings, I don't know what that is. Spectral selections, clip boundaries, blah, 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 blah. There are still some things that are very important to find. You can use some of these for zoom in and zoom out. I tend to just, use the keys here. Track size, there's Control F, Control Shift F, collapse and expand, which I keep meaning to use and never do. Let's see. Play region, lock, unlock, preferences, view menu. Yes, go to selection start, expand hibs, blah, 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 blah. Transport menu. I do use some of that. Let's see if we can find that one. Transport menu. Woohoo. Play stop and set cursor. Loop play, which I never use. Pause, record, append record. Now these ones I use. Pause when you're recording. If you're just stopping for a bit, you hit pause. P to pause the recording. It's still recording. It's just waiting, and then P to bring it back again. If you stop a recording, if you actually stop it, then you hit Shift. You go to the end of it and you hit Shift R to start again at that point. It'll still count it as two separate recordings until you click on it, but you can always continue when you need to. Timer record. I've never used a timer. Okay, scrubbing cursor selection, blah, 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 more stuff. Come on, next thing. Ah, there we go. Tracks menu. Mix stereo down to mono. Is that what I want? I hope it's the same thing, because on mine it's called stereo track to mono. I'm assuming it's the same thing, because I do this a lot. This is part of what I was talking about with like the footsteps and stuff yesterday, is that a lot of times when you're getting special effects, when you're doing certain things with music, when you're doing certain things with voices, some people will send you voices in a stereo track, and you're either going to split it if the voices are on two separate tracks, or merge it if they're not. And my merge for this is this. Oh, no, I gotta go down here. And because that's the first thing I do, is I just merge all stereo tracks or split them. I mean, I take a look at them first, because I don't want stuff to be on either side without being under my control. Music, I tend not to do that with, unless the music is going to be drastically to one side or the other of a scene. Because if you decided, say, a radio playing in the left corner, you don't want any of that music coming from the right side. And no matter how much you shift a stereo track over, part of it is still going to be on the right side. And that's just weird when you're trying to create a soundscape. For mix and render, I use this. Oh, see, I keep forgetting to go down. I hope everybody remembers better than me to go down into this box. And mix and render, you can highlight a couple of tracks and mix them together, which I do a lot in the audio drama process. Mix and render to new track mixes them, but also makes them, it doesn't, from what I understand, it doesn't remove the previous tracks, it just mixes them to a new track, and that's actually one I should be using more. So let's give that a keystroke. Do I use that one? I don't think I use that one. I'll never remember it until I use it a million times, but I'll at least try. Remove tracks. I don't see why I need a keystroke for that. I can just go click the X box. That's really silly. Okay, mute, unmute, I don't care about. I'd probably use that once in a while, but mostly I just use the mute buttons. Pan, I do manually align tracks. Now, hopefully this is fixed, because I used to use align tracks a lot, and then it stopped working the way it worked, and that annoyed the crap out of me. And so hopefully it's back to where it was. Start to selection, end to selection, start, and start to Hopefully this is what it used to be. Now what did I do with it? I think it was that. We'll see. Actually, I'm going to close that and check it now just to see what happens, okay? That's control, that, okay. Because what that means is if I did this, yes, it works again, because it didn't work for a long time. What it allows me to do is to move a track to a point to match it up to what I wanted, and I used that. It is pulling the entire track. So if, for instance, I decided to do this, it's not going to pull that little bit. It's going to pull the whole thing to that point. So it's limited in its ability, but it does allow for that. What I usually use it for doing audiobooks is if I'm going down a track that's an hour long and I know that at 15 minutes I've got an error because my editor has sent me a list, then I'll put my correction recording on this track and I'll just go over here and I'll do this and it'll pop up, and then I can just make it bigger and go, okay, let's see how the error fits in. And for a while I couldn't get it to do that, and I'm so happy. Okay, back to preferences. Okay, let's see. Oh no, I have to scroll all the way down again. I forgot about that. Expand collapse tracks, toolbars, loops, la 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 la. Okay, this is where we were. Start, and you could do it with an end to cursor selection start, which would be pulling, instead of where you put the cursor is where that track will start, where you put the cursor is where the end will butt up against, which is actually a really good function under certain circumstances. And I might assign that one at some point because I could see that coming in handy doing audio drama, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Sort tracks, I can do that. For the amount of times it happens, I would never use it consistently. I'll probably just do it under the tracks menu. Sync lock tracks. Oh, I do not like that. I will never ever make a shortcut for that. I understand the purpose of it. It's so like if you move one, the other one moves with it. But there are times when it's maddening. I think that's what that one does. There's another thing which is like this snap to one here. Never ever turn it on. It's horrible. It'll drive you crazy. I won't do it right now because I don't want to have to scroll back down here, but I'll come back to that probably at some point. Let's see. Where's my next one? Add label, repeat. Oh, repeat. Absolutely. I have my own repeat one. I don't, and this is another one where I wanted it to be a single key. Oops, nope. I wanted it to be a single key of its own, not a two-key thing, because I'll do repeats a lot. Now, what I like with repeat is repeat lets you, for instance, if I, like last time I was showing about noise removal and high-pass filters, I can do the high-pass filter on one track, come down to the next track and just hit repeat, and it'll run the high-pass filter. Next one, repeat, high-pass, next one, repeat. But it also, if I go and paste something, I could just repeat, and paste a bunch of it in. I mean, there's a lot of different things like that that the repeat key can use for, and I really use it a lot, which is why I got really tired of it being a two-key function instead of a one-key function. Amplify, I do, yeah, oops, go down to the box. I do this. Change pitch, even though I never use it the way I should. I only use change pitch very seldom, except for when making special effects. I will, when I'm blending effects, a lot of times I'll take them up and down in pitch. I don't use it on voices much, unless it's something real. I'm just tweaking it a little tiny bit. Changing pitch, it can sound weird really fast. And if you're just tweaking a little bit, it's not a big deal. But if you are changing it a lot, you need to be careful with it. Now this, oops, Control Alt, yeah. Now the difference between speed and tempo, change speed will speed up your voice like chipmunks, while change tempo will speed up your voice but keep the pitch the same. And that's huge. I don't have this click removal set up, but I have a different click removal. Distortion, echo, I have fade in. I always like fade in and fade out because they are really, really handy. Even when you're just doing something like, see, I use the greater than and lesser than signs, if you see that, but they're, oh wait, no. Oh, no, I use shift, my bad. It's shift greater than and shift. I don't want to accidentally hit it when I, whoops, no. There, go in the box. It's like teaching a cat. Shift plus that is the lesser than sign, and this is the greater than sign. It's easy to remember that way than with the period and the comma, but they don't show you that. Noise reduction, I use that. Paul stretch. Who the hell's Paul? That's new. I'll have to look that up at some point. Let's see. Occasionally I will do reverse. Not very often. Not often enough really to, well, no, I guess I do. Because when I'm doing audio dramas, again, when I'm doing sound effects and things, a lot of times I'll do a reverse reverb because it sounds pretty spooky. Truncate silence, adjustable fades. A lot of these are things that I do use on occasion, but not enough to assign a key to it. But high pass filter, absolutely. Low pass filter, also. As I said before, the high pass filter lets the high notes pass through, but cuts out the low notes, the buzz, the electronic sound of your computer, the heating coming on, the cars on the street, whatever, that rumble. While a low pass filter does just the opposite. It cuts out the high notes. Now, if you run a high pass filter really high, the person comes out sounding like they're on the radio because you've cut out all the low notes and all you're getting is that. While if you run a low pass filter really high, the person sounds like they're behind a door. Or you can just put your hand over your mouth like I did. There's so many different ways to get the effects you want. I mean, there's old school ways, and then there's like, in post ways. Vocal remover, vocoder, analyze menu. I think we're mostly through most of the things I use. Okay, low pass filter. Oh, that's right. Some of my favorite ones aren't here because I haven't added them in yet, and that was the other thing I was going to do today. Is there anything else in here that I need to worry about? I don't use any of those. I don't use any of those. There's so many things that, I've never bothered. I always was like, I'll try one more function every month or something, and then I just go back on to all the stuff I always do. So I'm going to say okay and close this out again. Now, up here in the effects menu, there are any number of effects that I can add, because this is another nice thing about the Audacity community, is that there is this thriving community of people creating new effects, creating things to plug into Audacity. And of course, I haven't ported them in yet because I'm clever. So, hello, computer. I am going to send them to myself from the other computer in an email. I could go download them all again, and I probably should show you how to download some of them. There's a couple things that we're probably going to have to go through and download. But I will show you how to put them into the file. What we're going to have to do is actually close Audacity at some point, because there's oh jeez, I need this one. And of course they're all in different places because I don't know why. Isn't Room Machine in here? Yes, it is. I want Room Machine. I need Pop Mute. What is the click track one I use? I'm gonna have to look at it in Audacity. I know it's a lot of this stuff as you're setting it up is odd and kind of a pain in the ass. It's the D clicker. Okay. But once you get it all set up, it should be, as I said, this is one of the reasons why I'm not super excited about about uh, new versions of Audacity, is because all of this I have to do every time I put a new version of Audacity into effect, and it kind of drives me crazy. So, you'd think it'd be more down to a science, like you could import them, but I'm not going to complain because this is still a free program and I still love it beyond everything else. So, okay. There are any number, you can pretty much, there's a good chance that if there's something you want to be able to do with Audacity, you should be able to find a plugin for it of some kind. Now, you can actually get this list, can end up being really, really long, like you'll have to scroll through it. Still no chat. Okay. I'm going to have to open an email. Probably the wrong one. Yep. No, this is my shopping email. We don't want to look at that. That's bad. That is bad. Okay. It's too many stupid emails in the world. Shut up. No. Bye-bye. Don't care. I always hate it when crowd, especially because it's really loud in the... That is not a password. That's an email. What is the password? It's crazy sometimes. I shouldn't be showing you all my emails. Oh no. Whoopie-doo. I mean, this is the one that is opening slowly, is 19nocturne@live.com, which is where I'm inviting everybody to email to me anyway. So it's not a big deal. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to download all of these. No, I'm not going to open them. Just, oh, I don't want it zipped. Fine, I'll download them one at a time. The things I do. Now you'll see some of these are a DLL and some of these, well, one of them's a DLL and then the others are NY. It's different kinds of plugins for Audacity. The NYs are Nyquist and the DLL are not. So, ooh, that's technical. So what I'm going to do now is go into my download directory and hope there's no, let's see. Yes, there we go. And declicker, pop mute. Where'd Room Machine go? Damn it. Is it still downloading? Oh, no. What? This is where it gets weird sometimes. I'll check that in a minute. Because I need another window here. I'm going to go into my Audacity, which you go into your local disk, you go into your program files, the 86 version. Again, I should have pointed out from the start that this is pretty much limited to PCs. I don't think the Mac functions at all like this. But you can go into your Audacity program, and then you go into your plugins. You can also go into your Nyquist, but I think they can all go into plugins because as you see there, come on, yes, administrator, I am the administrator, I am the only one, I am the one ring. Now to get Room Machine, since it went somewhere else, where did it go? It went to downloads, but it's someplace weird. It didn't, oh, whatever, as long as I can get to it. I'm going to put it in the plugins menu as well. Room Machine is a simplistic program to create just the slight echo of being in a room and overlay it on everything in a scene, which is one of the things I use a lot to help make voices, disparate voices, sound like they're in the same place. It's like if your cake, it doesn't matter if your cake is chocolate or if it's vanilla, if you have frosting all over it, then it all looks like it's the same cake. Not quite that way, but close enough. Now, the problem, of course, is at this point, I get to close down Audacity and open it up again. So, actually, before I close this, we're going to go, oops, well, I closed it. I didn't save anything. You'll look at the plugins here. You see that, for instance, there's no, they run sort of in alphabetical order. They're like alphabetical through all the main stuff and then alphabetical through all the stuff they don't consider to be main. But you can see here there's no Room Machine, there's no pop mute. These are the things that I've been adding. So I have to close Audacity down and then open it right back up again. And now they're not there. They're still not there. Oh no, what happened? Well, what happened is I have to add remove plugins. So I should have, they should be in my list of plugins now as new. I still don't know what classic filters is. I'm going to have to look at that. Declicker and de-esser are both new. Oh, no, I'm going to enable. Durr. I can't even read the buttons. And then on down to invert limiter, low pass. These will probably be in alphabetical order, more or less. Where's pop mute? There's Room Machine, enable. I mean, I don't know what half of this stuff is, so I'm going to disable it. Silence I do use. Spectral edit, no. Spectral edit, no. I'm clearing out some things because I like to keep the list on one screen. Oh, there's pop mute. Okay, there it is. Enable. Okay. You always hit a note, okay, and then you'll go look here, and it's like there's pop mute, there's Room Machine, there's de-esser, and declicker. These are the 4 that I just added. They each have functions that I use a lot. Well, de-esser and declicker not so much, but they're really handy when you need them. Declicker particularly. This is one thing that I use a lot in doing audiobooks, because every once in a while you'll end up with a click somewhere in your, especially I do it a lot when I say things like sleep, that there's a click between the S and the L. It's in my cheek somewhere, and I don't know why, and it's very annoying. But the declicker can take it out without damaging the track. You could also, like, well, I don't have an example here. I'll probably have one at some point. You can, if you magnify it up really big, you can see where that click is and take it out manually, deleting it. But this takes it out a lot easier. So now that I've got those, just to fill up the last few minutes of this particular stream, I'm going to go to preferences. I'm going to scroll way down here, hopefully figure out where it is. Ah, there we are. See, now they appear here too, which is nice. So my declicker, now I have to open it up back over here too. Okay, back to whatever it was, edit, preferences. I want to make sure I get everything the same because I've actually got these down to like a habit. I mean, so when I'm, without even thinking about it, a lot of times I'll use them, but I'll forget what they are when I'm not using them. Okay, declicker, this one. And de-esser. And pop mute. Oh, that one I use all the time. Right? Yes. And no, oh, the noise gate. I didn't get the noise gate. Damn it. Of course, there's something I didn't get. Room machine, though, is. Do I have one for room machine? Oh, yeah. Ah, no. Oh, now I have to find it again. Now, stupid. Room machine, go here. I forgot one thing, which is the noise gate, which now I'm going to have to go get. It shouldn't be that difficult, but it is apparently not in here, is the noise gate I use. I'll worry about that off screen. Basically, if anytime you're installing any plugins or anything into Audacity, you always have to close it and open it again. It's in the opening process that it reads all those files and puts them into the list. If I open up my recent file again, and I mean, Room Machine, I'm going to use a lot more when we get into the audio drama part, but something like pop thing, it does this, pop mute. This is what I like to use instead of a leveler or a normalizer. And as I said, this is probably one of those, I'm using a hammer when I could use a nail gun, but I don't care. Because, I could be like bump, 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 and there's probably a process for it. But I like this because I've got hands-on, and I know that what I come up with is a good product. So what I'm doing is the two boxes that matter are these ones. I'm sure the others matter too, but I don't use them. I'll highlight a track or more than one track, and I'll tell it everything above, say, -10. Numlock. I hate that the computer disables numlock every time you turn it off. I use the keypad numbers all the time. Can't I just set it to stay on forever? And that's not an Audacity thing. That's just a stupid computer thing. Everything above 10 will go down by 2. Now, remember what I said about amplification in Audacity. When you open up an amplify box, and this threshold is related to amplify, it's telling the number the same way, is that the amplify box, when you open it up, will tell you how far it is from the highest part in your track up to the top. That's how much you could amplify to make the highest part of your track touch the top of the track. Now, in this case, I'm saying everything that falls between 10 down from the top of the track and the top of the track needs to come down by 2. So watch that peak over there when I say okay. See? It comes down. Now let's see where it's at. I'll hit amplify. It's at 647. So if I added 6.47, this would go up to the top, which means it's still above 10. Got it? We're counting down, remember? So instead of taking it up, I'm going to run the pop mute again, and it'll come down by another 2. So this allows you to bring down those peaks. And this is something that frustrated me so much back when I was doing audio drama before, is I'd get some people whose recordings were within a certain parameter and other people who had high peaks and low peaks, and I had to go through manually and take down the high ones so that I could bring up the low ones and make it all sound alike. And this allows me to bring down those peaks automatically. That was the repeat key, by the way, my cue, so that when I went to volume up the whole track like that, those things weren't in the way, and I didn't have to clip them, which would be sending them outside of the track and damaging them. Now, I mean, I can do that over and over again, and that's what I actually do, is I do that process rather a lot, except I usually use -6 to start with, and just take it down like this, repeat, repeat, and this way I get a nice even track with a relatively similar sound, as opposed to lots of pokey, pointy bits going up, which, you know, are way out of the range of all the rest of it. Anyway, so there has been my stream for today. I hope we've gotten by without having to deal too much with the sound in here. Maybe it's actually working now as a headset Realtek high definition. I don't know, because like thoughts of my mouth, I can play it and hear it, but I don't know if you guys can. Hopefully somebody will give me a heads up and let me know, or else I'll just have to go through my own video. It's so hard to listen to yourself, I'll tell you. Anyway, oops, that's not what I meant to make Audacity big. And so overall, hopefully this is getting you a general start on how to set up Audacity, how to play with some of the stuff and get it moving. And next time we'll start just cleaning up some tracks, I think, and making them. I'll probably go through some of this process of how I clean up tracks while I talk for the audiobooks, and then we'll start working a little bit with some of the raw material for the audio drama. I'm going right into doing some of the scenes and cleaning up the files from the main recordings for Fatal Girl episode 1 of season 2. So we'll have one set of tracks that I did with 3 of the main characters, Alice, Ken, and Hyde, and then a separate track with Chiyoko and a separate track with Auntie Hebby and some of the other secondary characters. If you haven't listened to Fatal Girl, I want to give it a plug. I've got it up on my RSS feed. It's also on my website at fatalgirlchiyoko.com. We'll link to that. And it's also in my YouTube channel. It's my anime-inspired audio drama, and whether you like anime or not, it's worth a try. It is mature. It does touch on mature themes, and it announces that at the beginning of every episode. But it doesn't get downright nasty, but it sort of dances around with it on occasion. And so season 2, the opening episode, however, is a flashback to the childhood of some of the characters, as well as a moving forward for some of the other things going on. It should be really interesting. It's a nice way to reestablish the story again after a long hiatus, or, you know, as a season premiere, and at the same time set up some stuff for future. So I hope people will keep coming back, and thank you for watching.